Pressure's dropping. Be the perfect time to test that flying frog technique again. Hey Grant, you ever fish a Senko on the back of a square bill? I know we're supposed to be frogging them right, but goddamn, it's a good idea. We ought to try her. This is why I fish alone. We've got a major pattern change coming. Storms, pressure swings, cold air, and more fish in transition than a high school drama club. Let's break down what matters this weekend. Welcome back to Bass Prediction Center, where we're breaking down weather, seasonal patterns, and tournament trends to help you catch more and bigger fish. Let's go. All right, guys, reviewing our map. Welcome back, by the way. It is already the weekend, super exciting. Guys are going to be fishing. The Heavy Hitters event just finished up. We'll talk about that in just a bit. The NPFL started off today, super exciting. Our maps stayed basically the same since the beginning of the week. I don't expect it to change much. This Postspawn is going to continue to creep north as we move into next week, and our summer patterns will continue to expand. So that's our map, guys. Check it out. Wherever you're at in the country, adjust to these patterns, and you will catch some fish.
The St. Croix Bassmaster.
All right, guys. Heavy Hitters just wrapped up today on Thursday, and it looks like Nick Hatfield won $100,000, won the tournament. My boy Matt Steffen here, he got a big bass yesterday in the knockaround, so he won 30 grand, and then he won another nice chunk of change today. He won another 13,000 for getting 7th place. A really good tournament for him. Super awesome to see that. Wish he was still in the BPT because I think he is one of the best anglers out there. As you can see, Justin Lucas, Dustin Connell, really nice top 10. And then Jeff Sprague today caught the big bass. He only had 2 fish, but one of them was a 6-pounder, which gave him $100,000. Super cool in this tournament that you can win 100 grand even though you don't do that well on the final day. You just need one big one, and you're walking away with a decent amount of money. All right, over in the NPFL, they are in their 3rd tournament, and they just wrapped up day 1 over there in Tennessee on Douglas Lake. And as you can see, it's a list of Elite Series anglers. You got Scott Canterbury leading this thing with a nice bag of 17 pounds, 6 ounces. You've got Brandon Cobb in here, Kyle Welcher, all the guys you know and love. But then you got some guys in here that are new. Buddy Gross, he's not new. He's definitely a well-known angler. But Tim Kales, haven't heard of him, but he is doing really well in this one. Lindell Martin. So, super fun tournament. Go over there and watch it live at npfl.com. Anybody can win this thing. Weights are pretty good, 17 pounds, all the way down to, 11, 12 pounds for like 28th, 30th place. So, super exciting tournament. A lot of fish being caught. Good, nice post-spawn tournament, guys. All right, guys, looking at our Storm Prediction Center maps here, first to see where our severe weather is going to be. And as you can see, there's a big slight risk here from Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, all the way down to Arkansas. Going to be some severe weather here on Friday evening, afternoon and evening. So if you're in these areas, be out there, be safe. A little area here in Florida is going to see some severe weather on the east coast of Florida, Miami, Lake Okeechobee. If you're out on Lake Okeechobee in the afternoon, be very safe out there. Going to be some storms for sure. Tornado risk is only 2% here in the panhandle of Nebraska down through Kansas. So nothing too much to worry about for tornadoes, but kind of a wind and hail threat. As you can see, the hail hatched area there in kind of the same areas where the tornadoes risk was. But if you're in those areas, definitely watch out, have a weather action plan in place, and be safe. Day 2, Saturday, you got a slight risk right here in Oklahoma. This one has a little bit higher tornado risk. As you can see, 5% right here in the Oklahoma City area. Definitely something to watch out for. Definitely, this could get upgraded as we move closer, probably tomorrow afternoon. They may upgrade this, but there's a big 2% risk here through Arkansas, Kansas, and this area is going to see some storms. So if you're out fishing Saturday, you definitely want to have your weather radio on and your kill switches engaged and your life jackets on. On Sunday, big slight risk in the same exact area. This is going to be Sunday evening, Texas Panhandle, Red River area, all the way to Arkansas. Kind of the same situation. Too early to see the tornado and hail and wind areas, but going to be some severe weather all the way through here. So let's look at our forecast maps. All right, guys, looking at our forecast maps here, starting right now, you do have this storm system moving through Nebraska. Obviously, it's late at night here that it's moving through. So nothing to worry about as far as fishing unless you're night fishing. This is going to continue to push east. You do have a storm system firing up in East Texas. and a bunch of rain here in the Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont area. A little bit of rain up here in Montana. And then these things are just going to push east, and this system is going to continue to reform throughout the day here on Friday afternoon. The system up here in Maine is going to go ahead and push out, and everything else in the country looks pretty clear as far as that goes. And then we go into Saturday. You can see these storms firing up off the coast of Florida, around Okeechobee. Those are those storms we were talking about. And then these storms start to fire up in a line here in West Texas, and that will move east. And that's going to bring your severe weather. As you can see, some supercells are showing here in Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and these are where you're going to be tornado threats are going to be down here in West Texas, also near the Panhandle. So, like I said, be safe in those areas. It's going to be kind of an isolated thunderstorm threat at first, but those storms that do form will be strong and will have the potential to have tornadoes. This will eventually congeal as it moves east through the night on Saturday, and form a line of storms here that pushes down through Arkansas and Louisiana. And then on Sunday, you have more storms and rain firing up. Actually, this is Saturday evening still. More storms and rain firing up here in Nebraska, but these will not be severe. This is just mostly going to be rain, which is very much needed in our areas. So through Saturday evening, this is what we're looking at. Again, another big thunderstorm showing up in Oklahoma. Let's look at the NAM so we can look at Sunday here, since we are a little bit far out. Let's see, Sunday morning showing rain all through the Missouri, Kansas area. So if you're planning on fishing on Sunday in these areas, you might not want to go. It's going to be a wet one, but if you do go, bring your rain poncho. It should be safe from any severe weather. Should be mostly a rain and maybe some lightning. And then as you move through the day Sunday, a lot of this rain just kind of lingers around the east and stays here in Nebraska, Dakotas. A chance of rain all through here. Nothing severe, again, just some rain and thunderstorms. And then later Sunday evening, this is where you get this line of storms that fires up here in Oklahoma as this Gulf moisture pushes in and brings some energy for these storms to form, and that's where you're going to have a risk of some more severe weather and definitely possibly some tornadoes, but wind and hail for sure. So like I said, if you're in those areas, if you're in Oklahoma, be safe out there. All right, our winds for the weekend. A little bit breezy here in the Nebraska-Kansas area around this low pressure system. Also windy in Maine around that low pressure system. If you're fishing out in front of these, definitely going to be a good bite, but after they move through, could be a little bit tough. And then as this moves along, this one's just going to kind of flirt with the Rockies here. It's just going to hang out in front of the Rockies, bring storms multiple times throughout the weekend. This is Saturday morning, windy in Texas, a little bit better day in Nebraska and Kansas. But like I said, there's going to be rain Saturday afternoon. Could be a pretty good day to fish early Saturday. If you're in Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, all these areas right in here could be really good early, but just watch out for storms in the afternoon. Get off the water before those fire up. And then that low pressure system continues to hang out here and bring winds. But the rest of the country, you look fantastic for winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour at the most. And then Sunday, get a little bit breezy in the afternoon here, from Montana down through Nebraska and southern Illinois. Texas, breezy as those storms from the Gulf push up, or the winds push up to feed those storm systems up there. But rest of the country, again, looking pretty good for winds. All right, high temperatures for your weekend. Friday afternoon, this low pressure system is dragging some cold air here into the northeast, so you're only up into the close to 50 degrees in New York, parts of Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, all those little tiny states. Maine, you're actually looking pretty good considering where you're at. The low pressure system is just west of you here, so it's pushing a little bit of warm air up for you, which is nice. The rest of the country looking pretty decent. 60s all through this region here, from the northwest all the way to New Jersey, and then a nice swath of 70-degree and 80-degree temps all the way through the south, and even warmer up to 100 degrees in South Texas. Gets hot down there along the border. Arizona over 100 degrees, Death Valley over 100 degrees. Florida, you're around 90 degrees, 95, 96 degrees down there. So pretty nice weather to be fishing on Friday for you guys if you can avoid the storms. Then on Saturday highs, as this low pressure forms out here, it's going to start dragging some of this warm air up in front of it, which is going to bring our storms. But it's also going to bring some warm air early in the day. So you have 80s up here into eastern Colorado, western Nebraska. 60s and 70s all through here, Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, all these areas. The north continues to stay cool as that front pushes out to the east. Warm air in the northwest, warm air into California, and very warm in South Texas and Florida again. Sunday, more of the same, but that as that low pressure system moves around, it's going to drag some cold air down here into Nebraska. Highs only in the 60s in some areas, 50s in other areas. Some areas of South Dakota and Wyoming only getting up to 50 degrees. Northeast continuing to stay around 50 degrees. And then our line here along the Dixie Alley is keeping things warm in the south, which is nice for you guys. You're going to be throwing deep diving crankbaits all summer long in Carolina rigs on those hard bottoms. California, 80 degrees in the center there in the desert, but coast is looking pretty good in the 70s. So get out there and fish off the coast. I love doing a little bit of surf fishing if I can. It's a long drive for me from Nebraska, though. So those are your temps. All right, this is your total rainfall through Sunday. And as you can see, Oklahoma's about to get it again. Grand Lake, we're looking at maybe 9 inches of rain through the weekend here. This is 3 days. This is not going to be good if you're in this Grand Lake area, down here, southwest Missouri, Joplin area, southeast Kansas. A lot of rain happening right now. So if you're in these areas, watch out. It's going to be flooding for sure if we end up seeing this amount of rain, but it looks like we will. And then Nebraska, finally going to see some rain up here, maybe a little over an inch in the northwest here. Could use a little bit more to push east, but we'll take what we can get, half an inch in my area, which wouldn't be too bad. The rest of the country looking pretty good. Maine, you're going to see a couple inches of rain out of this low pressure system that's sitting there, but you guys also could use a little bit of rain up there. West Coast, not going to see much over the weekend, and then central Midwest here, also not going to see much rain. Fish absolutely love that.
Oh my gosh!
Guys, welcome back to Forecast to Fish. Last week on TikTok, I had a comment from user Tom Bob asking how pressure affects bass and when the best time to fish is. The answer is low pressure is the best time to fish, but here's why. Let's break it down. First of all, low pressure systems bring in clouds, which means low light. This gives the bass an edge to stalk prey. This makes them feel more confident to leave cover and stalk prey. The second most important thing you get out of low pressure systems is wind. Wind breaks up the surface, disrupts light penetration, and pushes bait up against points and edges. This makes the bass know that it's game time, time to feed. Thirdly, low pressure allows tiny particles like phytoplankton and other debris to come up off the bottom, which brings in zooplankton to feed on them. The zooplankton attract other small fish, which in turns attract the big bass that you're trying to catch. And last but not least, the low pressure physically affects the fish. It relieves pressure on their swim bladder, especially suspended bass. They just feel better moving and feeding shallow. That's been Forecast to Fish. Looks like a storm's rolling in. Tie on something moving and beat them to the buffet. Welcome back to the tip of the week with me, Dr. Bass. Today we are testing which baits are most palatable to our green slimy friends. They are predators and they have a very refined palate. We must know which one tastes best so that we can catch the most fish. Today we have 3 baits. They are beaver style baits. 1, we have the net bait rascal. Very good bait. 2, classic rage tail. Classic Strike King Rage Bug. Very good. Last but not least, Riot Baits Fuzzy Beaver. These are 3 very popular baits. Now let's run the experiment. First bait up is the Rascal. Too bland, not good. Number 2, the Rage Bug. Spicy, yet overrated. And finally, the Riot Baits Fuzzy Beaver. Salty, garlicky, and just a hint of kick. This is the one. The bass will love it. Guys, make sure you are tasting your baits. This has been the tip of the week with me, Dr. Bass. Wow, Dr. Bass, you are gross. Anyway, let's review the baits of the week right now, brought to you by Beyond Braid. If you guys want to go over to beyondbraid.com, you can get some of the best braided line in the United States right now. It literally casts so good. I've only had 1 wind knot all year, and it was like blowing 45. So check it out. The Miami Vibe color is badass. It's pink, blue, and white. Otherwise, you can get their solid 8-strand braid, which is super nice, super smooth. I love that 4-strand on a spinning reel, though, because it does not It's not as heavy, so it doesn't spin around as much as when you cast it, so you do not get the wind knots. But check out beyondbraid.com. You can use code BPC10 at checkout to get 10% off any product over there. They have some awesome tackle boxes, pliers, scissors, things like that. Cool little backpack. But these are the baits of the week that we started on Tuesday, and they remain the same for the weekend. These are going to be some great baits to use. So if you're in those spawning areas up north right now, you cannot beat a prop style bait, and this Heddon tiny torpedo has been around since 1962, and it is an absolute killer. It might even be older than that. I just made up the date. But this thing, get it out there, and just when you pull it, it just makes a little noise, and it looks like a little fish chasing the fry, and it drives the bass insane. They cannot stand it over their beds. They cannot stand it chasing their fry, and they will absolutely destroy this thing. So get one tied on. They sell them at Walmart. They're like $5 or less. Get one tied on and go catch some bass today with this thing. Another great bait that's been around for a lot of years, probably like 50 years. Zoom Super Fluke. You can't beat this white color. Rig it on a Texas rig hook, no weight. Twitch it around anywhere in these post-spawn areas where you know bass like to hang out after they spawn, or anywhere there might be some fry garters, and they will absolutely demolish this thing. It's cool. You just twitch it around, let it sink down to where you just barely can't see it anymore. Twitch it up over and over, and you will see these fish absolutely come up and destroy this thing. It looks like a dying bait fish. It's so hard to resist for them. One of my favorite techniques to use, and they will hammer it. Summer areas, Beast Coast Maxfield tungsten football jig. One of my favorite ways to fish in the summer. Go graphing around, find a point, find some grass with a hard spot in the middle, cast out a football jig and drag it around them hard spots, those shell beds. Put a trailer on there, maybe a crud craw or a strike king rage craw, something like that with a lot of flap. Leave it full size because they're looking for a big meal in the summer, and just drag that thing around those hard areas, and you will catch some of the biggest bags of the year sometimes. My biggest bag ever came in Lake Fork, throwing a football jig in 26 foot of water on a point. Absolute giants. Caught them all in about 12 minutes. So check them out. Football jig. I like tungsten because you can feel everything with that stuff. So get it. Those are the baits of the week, guys. They are brought to you by Beyond Braid. Go use code BPC10 at checkout and get 10% off any item over there at beyondbraid.com.
This weekend gives you a bite window, and then everything flips. Fish before the pressure rises, adjust when it does, and don't forget, drop a comment and tell me where you're fishing this weekend. Like, follow, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for the full forecast.